Ben, good to see you. Thanks for making a bit of time to come and have a chat. I know you're super busy, as most CEOs are. Um, I want to kick off our discussion by asking you about something that you suggested when we spoke a few weeks ago. You said to me, initiation is the key to male suicide or reducing male suicide. What do you mean by that?
So, thank you for having me, first of all. Um, Initiation is a lost, really a lost art or a lost process in the West, particularly. There's lots of tribal societies that still have initiation. And initiation is a marking, a process that boys do in order to become mature men. And most of us have never had an initiation. And therefore, many of us are still boys in men's clothing.
Okay. And is that why we're suicide? Is that why we're suicidal? Is that what you're saying?
Well, I
I mean,
think the link
what's
is that,
tell me about the connection between
yeah,
initiation and reducing male suicide. I mean, that's the interesting bit. I mean, we'll come back
yes.
to you mean by initiation in a second, but tell us about that cause and effect relationship that you flagged up.
Yeah, well, there's actually three things that I think are related to the lack of initiation. One is uh, boys really not engaging in school. Um, Misogyny is on the rise, and there's a
Yeah.
big, you know, conversation around that. And then suicide. And I think the purpose of initiation is about there's a bit of a healing part to it. There's a bit of a learning about who you are and why you're here. So who you are, what's your identity, what's your uniqueness, what's your inner genius, what's your purpose.
Yeah.
Like these are questions that so many people don't have answers to. And why do people take their lives? Why do men take their lives? Well, to be honest, most of us we have assumptions we don't really know because these guys are gone and we can't
Yeah.
interview them. But most likely is life's super overwhelming. They feel as though the only way they can uh, cope with that is to take their life. Everyone's better off without them. They don't feel unique. They don't have a purpose. They don't have a right. Yeah, this is why I'm actually here on this planet Earth, and this is my mission in life. And there's none of that really in our society. There's a bit of it, but it's not. I don't think many people know. And coupled with a kind of a confusion about what it means to be a man and where do we fit in as men in society and how should we act, because women are super capable now, they don't necessarily need us.
Mm. Well, I've got three
And
sisters, and they've never needed me. I know that for certain. They're all super capable. Always have been. I mean, I don't think there's anything
yeah,
new about that. Let me ask you about the connection between initiation and so when you talk about initiation, what is it about being initiated? Do you think that changes that debate about how you feel about your purpose in life, your role in life, etc. I mean, what is it about so talk us through how initiation will change that.
yeah. Well, initiation is essentially asking that question, answer, helping you answer that question. And we were just talking about school before we came on, and there's no point in school where anybody sits down and says to you, "What? Who are you, and
Mm.
why are you here?" And and for me, I went into the military, and often people hear the word initiation, and think, "Oh, military. Oh, you had a kind of initiation there, right?" And yeah, sort of, but it's kind of a pseudo initiation where it's not really real. It's an initiation into not into your uniqueness. It's into like, right, we'll shave your head. You all wear the same clothes. You all wear the same kit. You're not even allowed to personalize your kit in basic training. You've got exactly the same kit. Don't be an individual. Um, and so you're not initiated in the right way, really.
So
And
let me ask you about that. Sorry. So doing it that way is right for the military, but it's
yeah,
not right
that's
for
right.
men in general. Is that so? Why is it? Let's just why is it right for the military, and why isn't that right for individuals?
Good question. Well, is it right for the military? I mean, it's the way it's done in the military, but then you also have a higher suicide rate in veterans.
Oh, really? Okay, I didn't know that.
Yeah, I think
Right.
it's twice. I think
And
it's
do you think
twice.
that's linked to that?
Quite possibly. Yeah, because you get given an identity when you join the military.
Right.
Obviously, there's the trauma side of things to consider, which may play into it, but not every veteran's traumatized.
Yeah.
But most veterans do have a loss of identity when they leave the military. So, you know, I'm a soldier, and then the day you leave, it's like, oh, who am I? I'm not a soldier anymore.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
very,
Yeah.
very confusing. And if you've ever, I think you have sold a company. Uh, when the business owner sells a company, they experience that also. Like, oh, who am I? I'm not the boss of that company anymore. And that's what I experienced when I sold my company.
Yeah. Yeah. And let me ask you about how you would do it differently for individuals then, because you're talking about developing initiations, aren't you, to
Yes.
enable young people, young men, and perhaps older men as
Yeah,
well,
yeah, yeah.
to get a better understanding of themselves. I mean, so tell us how you think about the initiations that you're developing or that you provide, and why do they have, how do you design so that they have a positive impact?
So they have to be very safe environments for men to. It's done in groups. It's always done in groups,
Yeah.
with some one-to-one support, and it's just a very safe place for men to talk about whatever they want, and that's a very rare thing.
Mm.
We used to have pubs; they don't really
Yeah.
exist anymore
Yeah.
in the same way. But the thing with pubs was that they were also alcohol fueled, so you had that non-useful substance flying around, which people do open up when they've had a lot to drink, but then it's sort of there's banter and there's, oh, he was just drunk. That's, and I,
Yeah.
you just sort of sweep it under the cover. So what I do is I create camping experiences, climbing mountain experiences where we meet. We all know why we're there. We have some kind of physical challenge, ideally a risk of death. I don't really have a risk of death, but
Just not that safe then.
a risk of serious injury. Well, you could fall off the mountain, right? You could,
Yeah.
but we're not. I mean, in some tribes they go out and they kill a lion. We're not doing that. So yeah, there's a physical challenge. There's a risk of injury, which that challenge men need that challenge.
Mm.
Um, and you need to basically, the reason there needs to be a risk is because you need to feel fear and overcome the fear, because then you develop courage.
Mm.
There needs to be a kind of dissent, in a sense of a tearing apart of your ego and identity,
Mhm.
to question it and to figure out who you are really. And if you are somebody who's built a life completely a performance, really, of who you are, then that dissent is very uncomfortable.
Mm.
So, for example, one of my clients is gay and grew up in a country where that was not acceptable.
Right.
And so he is very like flamboyant with his hands, but he always keeps his hands in his pockets because it's not acceptable. It wasn't acceptable for him to be like that.
Mm.
And so he grew up, he's 50 years of age now. And he's just had to hide himself. He's had to hide his true self. And that's been so long.
Mm.
It's been such a long time that the descent of tearing that apart and questioning it is a lot. It's a very uncomfortable process, but never a regrettable process either. It's always, because the more you become aligned with who you really are, the more fulfilled you are in life. That's been my experience. The more aligned that I become with who I am, the more happy and fulfilled I am, the better work I do, the less I even feel like I'm doing work, to be quite honest.
Mm. Yeah.
People
Okay.
pay me, people pay me to take them up mountains and, like, have amazing conversations with them around fires and eat great food and jump in some cold water and do some breath work and all that kind of stuff. That's like, I'm like, what, are you going to pay me for that? That's amazing. Great. Doesn't even feel like work. And that's really what I think, we all want to get to, I think that's what we all want to get to, is doing work, getting paid for it, and it doesn't really feel like work. But because we've been conditioned the other way around, it feels weird to be able to do that. Still feels
Yeah.
weird to me occasionally.
Yeah. Yeah. So what you're saying is that that experience, those experiences make people feel better about themselves, which reduces the suicide rate. Is that essentially the logic?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, as soon as when people have a space to talk, if somebody is suicidal, um, I don't often recommend they actually come to the camp. I think, maybe go and see somebody who's more professional, or I'm not qualified in any sense to do any of this. So, you know, um, but maybe they've had suicidal thoughts in the past,
Mm.
and so they can come to camp and they can talk about it, and they can come and sit around the fire and they can talk about it, and just the unburdening of that's often enough. That's the first bit. And then there's the second part of it, like, who are you actually? And getting some clarity on who they are, and to then put your effort, your life force in the direction of who you are. If you really care about the environment, then go and do something along those lines. And if you really care of working with kids, go and do something along those lines. And whatever you do for play, go and try and make some money out of doing that, and you won't ever feel like you work ever again, and you're having fun. So you're not. I often think about it in terms of, if you complete life, you become an enlightened being. You know,
That sounds
fully.
very Buddhist.
Yeah, but you know what I mean. Like
Mm.
when you meet people and they're just like, wow, they're just so, I don't know, clear and calm and peaceful, and I think that's like completed life. And then the complete other end of that is sort of depression and maybe suicide.
Yeah.
And so if you can raise yourself up, and there's loads of ways of doing that, like physical fitness, nutrition, meditation's been really good for me. I learned something called TM, which is transcendental meditation. It's been
Yeah.
amazing. Becoming more aligned, having more friends, connecting with more men. I think men really need to connect with men, and we don't do that very much. There's lots
And
of
why is
ways.
that? And why do you
Ways.
feel that men don't connect with men? That's an interesting point. I mean, all my mates go to football matches together. I mean, I'm not
Yeah,
a football fan, but I mean, they tell me they're pretty connected, yelling at the other team.
yeah, yeah. There's definitely pockets of men who are connected, but there's lots of pockets
Mm.
of men who are quite lonely.
Right.
And I think I work with a lot of entrepreneurs in particular, and being the head of an organization with a team, you need to appear to be the one who's got it together for the sake of the team.
Mm.
And there's not always a place for that entrepreneur to go, and so he feels lonely. Um, so why do men not connect? I think maybe there's some. I think this, quite simply, it's a lack of space to do it.
Right.
Like, the loss of pubs has been a big thing. They call it the third space. I can't remember what the other two
Mm.
spaces are. I
Yeah,
think
that
a
was
space of work, a space of home, and a space of,
Howard Schultz from Starbucks. That was what
right.
Starbucks was all about, wasn't it? Creating a third space.
Yeah, yeah,
So, I mean, I totally get that. I mean, my father used to go to the pub every night at 10 o'clock religiously and have a pint and then come home again. He'd walk the dog up there, have a pint, talk
uh,
to his mates and walk back. I mean, that world doesn't exist. I mean, pubs are empty
no,
by 9 o'clock now.
yeah, and a lot of people don't drink anymore.
Yeah,
So
yeah. So you
mingling
don't
is
get to
valuable.
stand at the bar and chat with people if you,
No,
yeah. Which he loved. I mean, he loved. He had the same bunch of old. I mean, a lot of them were ex-forces actually. So he'd go there and
right.
chat to his mates and come home again. After I
Mm,
had a pint or 2 pints or something. And I used to go with him once I was old enough, and it was a very relaxing experience actually.
yeah,
So I,
yeah,
I
and that's
get,
basically what we do now. I mean, if you can do that around a fire, it's amazing. You
yeah.
know, the pub was great, but round a fire it's what we've always done.
And
We've
why?
always
So why
had
do
a
you say the
fire.
fire's better? I mean, what is it about sitting around a fire? I mean,
Oh,
other people have said that to me,
yeah.
but what is it about sitting around a campfire that is so powerful?
Well, I don't know, but men can look into the fire rather than looking at each other. And if you're talking about something which you're not
Okay,
comfortable necessarily talking about, then
don't
looking
have to
into
make
a
eye contact.
fire is great. There is some science. There is some. I've heard that looking into a flame produces stem cells in your body, helps increase stem cell production, which is stem cells heal us. So like the healing effects of a fire apparently are real. So maybe there's that, but yeah, it just gives you another focal point. Men love fire, don't they? Love chucking stuff in fire and playing around with it. And it's just been, I think it's just part of our DNA. We just had it for thousands of years. We've always gone to war. Men really have always had, and probably more horrific, if you think about it, like you're in close combat, fighting each other. It's pretty traumatic stuff. But there was always afterwards this kind of decompression period where they would have to travel home from battle, and they'd have fires and they'd sit around the fires and they'd
Yeah. Yeah.
discuss what happened. They lost their best friend and they cry, and like, men would, now we don't touch each other. Men don't touch each other. I'm not talking about in a gay way, just in a friendly way. We don't even really touch each other. Like men would have, there's chemicals that are produced when we touch each other. And so you'd have had this kind of unconscious processing of the trauma that would have happened. And our society just come further and further away from that. And now we go to war and we're basically playing a computer game and looking at stuff on screens most of the time.
Yeah. So let me ask you about the business. I mean, how are you defining success for the business? I mean, where do you want to be, let's say, in 5 years' time? I mean, what are you aiming for here? What is it you want to achieve?
Oh, good question. So there's two things. I'd like to create these camps across the UK. I'd like to have other practitioners leading camps, and there's a few people who have come regularly, and they're thinking about doing that. So I'd like that to happen, and like it to be quite a normal thing for men just to go, yeah, I'm off. Instead of off to the pub, it's like I'm off to camp. It's
Yeah.
just something I do every month, for my mental health, for my physical health, for my friends. So that would be it. I'd love that. And I think that would go a long, long way. I think if men just went to camp once a month, that would be huge.
Yeah.
Even just one experience is big. So imagine doing it every month. It'd be amazing.
Yeah.
So that's one thing. And then the second thing is I'm looking at working with schools and helping schools, particularly boys' schools, to reduce misogyny and male suicide and increase the engagement of boys in schools. I've got two young boys myself, so I'm very keen and interested to share this. And I've shared it with a few head teachers, the process that I use, and they both loved it. So it's quite promising, quite exciting idea. But that's
And of course,
really early days. And
there's a
I
lot
kind
of,
of imagine, like, when you're 16, you're like, right, have you done your initiation? You're like really looking forward to the process. You're really looking forward to
yeah.
it,
Yeah.
rather than what we have now, like really it's like when you're 18, you're looking forward to going to the pub for the first time and buying a
Yeah.
beer.
Yeah. I mean, it's interesting you talk about that. I mean, there's a huge problem with young boys underperforming in schools.
Yeah,
And it's
yeah,
very
yeah.
easy to say, well, they didn't do so well at the exams. Okay, but then the question is, well, why not? Well, part of the reason they're not doing well is because they're not particularly interested in it. Because they'd rather do other things. I mean, my experience with young boys is they're bundles of energy. What they want to do is run
Mm.
around and kick a football or whatever. They're not so interested in reading poetry or something. I mean, I certainly wasn't when I was that age. It's not that I don't like literature, but at that age, I wasn't really interested in it. And you're suggesting that a better way to engage people is to think through activities like this.
Yeah, well, that's an interesting thing that you said there, right? So some of the most mature masculine, um so there's four energies of a man, which I learnt and I teach. One is the king, one is the warrior, one is the lover, and the one is magician. So king, warrior, magician, lover. And the lover, I think, as a society, so each one of them has a kind of mature masculine place, and then each one has two shadows, and they're either overactive or underactive.
Mhm.
And the lover, in his full maturity, can express himself emotionally. He might well read poetry.
Or write poetry.
He might write poetry to express himself. I might write songs and sing songs. Like, we don't really do that anymore.
Well,
And I
lots of
think
guys write songs. I mean, there's lots of male musicians.
yeah, but I think as a culture, as a whole, as a whole, in the there are male, obviously there are, but as a whole, I think I grew up thinking it was uncool to read poetry. That might just be me.
I didn't think it was uncool. It just, I didn't, it was
Didn't
boring.
like it. Yeah, I
My
think I
take
thought,
on it. I mean,
yeah, I think it's just like, I don't know, maybe I noticed when I was going through my own work with my coach and my initiation that there were things that I ascribed to be feminine and girly, like washing up, just silly little thing. Um, Probably would have put poetry in that category. I think I would have put cutting the grass in the masculine, category. It's completely mad when you think about it. There's nothing
yeah,
manly
there's-
or girly about cutting the grass,
yeah,
but it's
cutting the
just
grass is cutting
my
the grass,
own
and washing up is washing up, isn't it? I mean, it just
washing
is
up
what
is
it
just
is.
washing up. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah,
Looking after children might be a more feminine thing because it there is hormones that are produced, estrogen, as you nurturing's a bit different, but I can nurture, I have a feminine side, and so going through initiation taught me that I have a feminine side. I was like, oh, that's, I didn't know that. Wow. I can express myself, I can look after children, it's so nice. And it's I think if I'd never explored that, I wouldn't have the relationship I have with my kids right now.
yeah. And that's pretty important stuff, isn't it? Let me
Really
ask you,
important.
you touched on your initiation. I mean, let me ask you about what was it that set you on this journey? I mean, I know you ex-forces. I mean, did that have an influence on your thinking around this? And what was it that set you on a road to create initiations for people? I mean, because it's an
Yeah.
odd kind of career path
Yeah, it is odd.
if
Yeah.
you get my.
Well, it is odd. It shouldn't be odd, but it is odd. Um, yeah, I think I was always looking for it. I'd done an Ironman. I joined the military. I've done various, physical challenges, love climbing mountains and things like that. And I sort of think maybe I was always seeking out initiation. I've always been intrigued by it. Um, and then I was going through a pretty rough time in my business. I was searching for lots of different mentors as well. I think that's quite a key part of the story. I was looking for coaches and I was looking for the next thing that was going to save my business, or
Right.
maybe not save it, but take it to the next
This
level.
was this was an earlier business.
This was yeah, before today. This was the gym business that I had after the military,
Right.
and um, I never really, on in hindsight, I never really had a coach before the coach I had recently. I'd always had, um, I think, consultants. There were always people telling me what to do. And when I got my coach, was a guy called Sanyika. He really asked me, "Who are you? Why are you here?"
Mm.
And and he really coached me in a very different way. He helped me see my uniqueness. He helped me see my unique skills and not to be ashamed of being a great guy. you know, don't be ashamed of like your greatness. Why would you be ashamed of that?
Mm.
But we are taught that, we are kind of conditioned that throughout our lives. I did a talk the other day and I said, I thought I'm going to insult my audience to open it up.
Right. This
And
was
I
to make
said,
yourself popular, was it?
yeah, just to get everyone's attention a bit more. I just said, like, you're too big for your boots. Who do you think you are? You need to wind your neck in.
Right.
You need to suck it up. You need to man up. You're a bit of a pussy, aren't you? And I was like, so who's heard that before
Mm.
throughout their childhood?
Mm.
We all have. And what does that do to us? Well, suck it up. Do you know, suck it up apparently came from World War II, where pilots would throw up in their face mask.
Okay. I think I've heard that. Yeah.
And probably because they were fear or whatever. So suck it up is like suck it up and get on with it. Now sometimes we do need to suck it up and get on with it, but not all the time. We can actually process our emotion
Yeah.
and whatever, experience our emotion. Who do you think you are? It's like, well, you're too big for your boots. It's, well, don't express yourself. Don't express yourself. Don't put yourself out there. Just stay small. That's kind of what it tells you to do. Every time you show off or every time you express yourself, it's like, who do you think you are? And it's just conditioning. It's conditioning. Keeps us small. Keeps us. And as an entrepreneur, you can't do that. You need to put yourself out there. You need to express who you are. You need to be authentic and genuine, I think.
And it was those experiences that encourage, or presumably you had an insight and thought, I'm going to create some initiations to undo that thinking. I mean, where does the idea, because it's a very interesting idea, this initiation
Mm.
idea. Where did it come from?
Well, it's just been it's been in our culture. It's not really a new thing. I'm just reviving a thing that was always there and we've lost.
Yeah. But you're
So
turning it into a business, aren't you?
yes, yeah, yeah,
Which
yeah.
is the
Well,
bit that's different.
yeah, I guess so. Yeah, I think the reason it's a business, I mean, it could easily be a charity, and there are charities around who do this type of thing. Um, and I have thought about maybe doing a charity with it. But I think the reason it's a business now at this moment in time is because when somebody puts down some money to do something, they are committed.
Yeah. Yeah.
And part of what I need is people's commitment.
Yeah.
In fact, all I really need is their commitment. I need their commitment and their trust to trust that process, and they will have an incredible experience. And the only time it doesn't really work is when I've been a bit loose on the commitment side of things.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Yeah. Okay. And so let me ask you about, I mean, I always think that I mean, part of the podcast is about the way CEOs view the process of building a business. I mean, and there's as many different businesses as there are different
Mm,
CEOs. How do
yeah.
you feel about being the CEO? I mean, because you know, you may use contractors, you may bring in other people, you may employ people. The job of the CEO is to figure out how to build the business. I mean, how do you feel about being the CEO and having that responsibility?
How do I feel about being the CEO? I feel good. I feel good about it at the moment. I've been the CEO of the gym and I had a team there.
Mm.
And so I'm quite enjoying this period of not having too much of a team. And I'm really thinking about collaborations this time around.
Right.
Whereas before I always thought, oh, I need to employ someone and I need to pay their thing. But it doesn't always work doing that because
Mm.
as soon as someone's got a regular paycheck, and I mean, sometimes it works, but it doesn't always work. They can slack off a bit. And I think part of that, I mean, I've just learned so much. I'm much more excited about it this time around because I've learned so much. Like for one thing I've learned is the difference between an agreement and an expectation.
Mm.
So even by employing someone, you have an expectation that they're going to show up and do the work.
Yeah. Yeah.
Quite a reasonable expectation, but it's still not an agreement. An agreement's really clear. An
Mm.
agreement is like, I'm going to pay you this, and you are going to do this. But before you even agree to that, you have to agree to uphold agreements, because there you have an expectation that everyone's going to uphold agreements.
Yeah.
So I mean, I've fallen into this trap loads in my previous business,
Yeah.
expecting people to do stuff, expecting this, expecting that. Whereas, yeah, what my coach taught me was agreements.
Yeah. And what sort of, I mean, I mean, it's good that you feel positive about being the CEO. I mean, I know some people that don't. What would you say have been the influences on you as a leader? I mean, is it your military training that influences how you lead the business now, or led your last business? I mean, what were your influences?
Definitely, last time around, yeah, definitely. Yeah, I learned a lot in the military that I didn't fully appreciate until I came into the business. And I really think that working with Sanyika was really helped me such a big way. And I think the core thing, if I can put it down to one thing, it's core values.
Hmm.
I
I
had,
was about to ask you about that actually. I mean,
yeah,
in what way have your values shaped the way you built this business? I mean, is it very different from the? I mean, have the values shaped this business in a very different way to the last one? There's an interesting contrast there.
yeah, definitely, yeah. Well, look, in the military, you had sea drills: courage, discipline, integrity, loyalty, selfless commitment, and so that is baked in. And I think that was a really useful thing that came out of the military, actually, because just the idea of integrity, I'm quite surprised how many people don't have that.
Mm.
It kind of blows my mind. And in the military, it's just not accepted. Like if you demonstrate a lack of integrity, you're risking getting kicked out of the military. So they really root it out. And so that was a theme in my last business for sure. And why is that useful? Well, you don't know all the decisions you're going to have to make. You don't know all the tactics. You don't know all sorts of things. You don't know what the economy's going to do. It could be COVID, could be a lockdown, blah blah blah. But if you've got your kind of red lines, I think of core values as red lines,
Right.
and so you're always going to hold your integrity. And so now it's changed a little bit. I still have integrity. I have accountability, which means when I fall short. So integrity is keeping your word. If I don't keep my word with accountability, it means that I am the one who will restore trust through action.
Mm.
So I will always go, I fucked up. Here's how I'm going to fix it. Kind of an obvious thing, but we don't always do it. And it can be little things as well. The little things are actually probably more important than the bigger,
Yeah.
more obvious things,
Yeah.
and things that people don't know about. Sometimes I do it and people are like, oh, I didn't even know. It's like, yeah, but I knew.
Mm.
Because really, I'm restoring trust with me.
Mm.
I'm the one who needs to back me. Probably the most important thing.
Yeah.
Radical responsibility. So taking ownership of everything, no excuses. That was something that did emerge in my last business because I was coaching people with fitness, and we all make excuses for our fitness occasionally. I've got kids right now. I could easily blame my kids for my lack of fitness in this moment, but actually, it's my if I take ownership of my lack of fitness, I could do some squats while we're talking here, for example. Probably wouldn't make a good podcast, but there we go.
I was going to say it'd be an odd episode if you start doing that.
Yeah, sure.
And oh, sorry.
Go on. Well, the two others are courage,
Yeah.
which means feeling the fear and doing it anyway, which was in the military, and then alignment. Always being unapologetically authentic with who I am and acting in alignment with that. And there's been an unapologetically authentic. There's just something about that just lands really well with me. And I've always been probably apologizing for who I am. Still do occasionally. It still shows up. And one way it showed up was on the men's camp that I did recently. I held back a little bit on some of the deep work that I was going to do, and some of the feedback at the end was we want to do more deep work. So I was like, brilliant. And if I'd only been more unapologetically authentic at the start of it, I wouldn't have even had
I
that
get your
feedback.
point. Yeah.
Yeah.
And have there been, as you've been building the business, because it's obviously what you're doing now is a very different thing to, running a gym. I'm not anti-gyms,
Yeah.
but it's a different kind of ball game, isn't it? It seems to me what you're doing, because
Well,
yours is all about
yeah.
the mental side as much as the physical side, whereas the gym is probably as much about the physical side as the mental side, if you get my point. Have there been any sort of surprises as you've developed this new business?
Surprises. I think with coaching businesses, because it's kind of what it is I think a lot of coaches think they don't need to do the business side of stuff.
Mm.
And they think that it's going to be, and I definitely started to fall into this trap a bit. And I've realized it's exactly the same, really, as any other business. Obviously, the service is different to the gym. I don't have a physical location to worry about, but you've still got to do the marketing, still got to do the sales, and you've still got to do all of that, the finance, you still got to do all of that stuff. And it's actually, we often demonize it because it can appear manipulative, but the manipulation is actually a shadow of the magician, which I spoke about earlier.
Mm.
But the magician part of us is the problem solver. It's the kind of strategist. And so when he's mature, he knows that doing marketing and sales is aligned with his mission of helping people, of initiating as many people as possible. So it's a useful thing if you use it in the right way. And I think a lot of coaches, because they've seen the dark side of it, they don't like to do it.
Yeah,
So
yeah, no, I think that's I certainly get that. I always say to people, if you feel bad about what you're doing in relation to sales, you're doing it wrong.
yeah,
The sales is
probably.
not about conning people.
Well, it's either doing it wrong or it's just trauma. It's like sales trauma. One of my sales coaches said, we've all got sales trauma. And I was like, yeah, you're right. We've all had that situation where someone's tried to sell something, we don't want to buy it. Like, oh yeah.
Yeah, but that's them doing it to you. So why are you traumatized? Because they're doing it to you. I think they should be the
Well, it's
ones.
just disgusting, isn't it? It's just like,
Well,
ugh,
it's
icky.
irresponsible, really.
I
Yeah,
don't want to be like that. You don't want to be like that.
yeah, yeah. Let me ask you about one of the other things that's interesting about building a business in the current environment is there is so much uncertainty around. I mean, fuel prices, I mean, it's just a very difficult time at the moment. I mean, my take on it is that currently the economy is going to drop into recession. It's going to make it difficult for lots and lots of businesses, lots and lots of people, whether I'm right or wrong. Time will tell, but it's difficult for people. I talk to a lot of CEOs and they pretty much all say it's tough at the moment. What's your take on dealing with that uncertainty? I mean, the thing about building a business is that nobody really knows what's going to happen tomorrow. And if COVID didn't teach people that, then they're never going to learn. But there's just so much uncertainty. What's your take on managing that kind of or leading in an uncertain environment?
Yeah, I think it's you have to be really careful, and I think you have to be really careful with your own state of being. And what I mean by that, so I do an exercise, and if you're listening to this, you can do this. So just look around your office right now and see what's red. Just notice what's red. Okay. And then close your eyes and tell me what's blue.
Right. I haven't got a lot of red or blue in my life,
Of
other than
course.
the background.
The
Other
background,
than
yeah.
the background. But anyway,
But
go on. So
usually when I do this,
the point of the exercise is,
the point of the exercise is usually you can't tell me what's blue because
yeah,
you only saw what's red.
yeah,
And so what's happening in the news, like I'm not denying there are challenges in the economy. Of course there always are things that are going on. But if you not even subscribe to it, it's not about subscribing or not subscribing. It's just if you focus on it, that's what you're going to see.
yeah,
And that's going to make you feel a certain way. And that's probably going to, and when you feel a certain way, you're probably going to act a certain way. And it's probably none of the outcomes are going to be useful. So it's really about what's useful and not useful rather than what's true and what's not true. So I look around and I hear that stuff, but I just, I guess it's like weeding. You just got to pull out the weeds.
so you're
It's
saying
not,
focus on the positive stuff, not the negative stuff. Is that
I'm just,
essentially?
it's not even about positive and negative. It's just about useful and not useful. It's like, is it useful to be like joining the rhetoric of the economy is fucked and or is it, well, there's still opportunity, there's still opportunities. There's still ways of making money.
Mm.
And if you see it, if you're not seeing it, you're missing all the other opportunities. You're
Yeah,
missing all
you're
the
focusing
you're
on the
missing
wrong
all the
things.
red.
Yeah,
You're only seeing the blue. When you think about buying a new car and you only see the new car, when you're thinking about buying a new car and that's all the only car you see on the road, or every
yeah,
other car seems to be that car.
yeah,
Well, those cars are always there. It's just that
yeah,
you tuned your brain to it. So
yeah,
it's the same in business opportunity. It's the same in relationships. It's the same with your health. It's the same with everything. There's a part of your brain called the reticular activation system, which is what it is. But yeah,
yeah.
I
And
think
I mean,
just the best way of
entrepreneurs are
looking at it.
generally pretty good at that. I mean, they're good at focusing on the opportunities, aren't they? I mean, that's the thing that entrepreneurs do differently to most people, or certainly do more successfully. They're good at spotting and exploiting opportunities. That's what makes them
Yeah,
entrepreneurs, isn't
yeah,
it? And it's a
it
mindset.
is. Yeah, but when you've got the whole rhetoric in the news, you can't deny it. Like, of course, they
Yeah,
can't. Yeah, you've got facts and figures. You've got like hard data. It's easy to be swept into the consensus.
yeah, yeah. And let me ask you about what you've learned from the experience of building. Well, actually, you've built two businesses, so what your experiences. I mean, what would you say are the factors that have made this current business successful? Because it's on the up, isn't it? I mean, that's what we were talking about. It's growing. So, what
Yeah,
is it that you think is making it successful? What are the factors that underpin that?
good question. Well, me
That's
personally,
good.
yeah, it is. It has been me. And before, I think 2 years ago, I would never have said that because I would have never have recognized my own greatness. You know, but I have been the one who has been persistent, stuck with it, done all the outreach, showed up on podcasts. I've got my own podcast, um, doing all that stuff that most people don't want to do. And I don't want to do it either. I'd rather not. I'd rather just show up and do coaching and initiation and take people camping. But there is all the other stuff that you've got to do.
Yeah,
And in the early days, you don't have the budget to go and outsource that. And even if you did outsource it, is it going to be done in the way you want it to be done?
that's right. Yeah,
Right now, like you can't always just outsource these things. I don't think straight away. It's got to be done because I've spent a lot of time getting to know me and my authentic message. So now I know exactly what I want to say, and it's still kind of refining. I'm still always refining it, but now when I do partner with somebody, so I recently just partnered with someone who's going to manage my podcast, because one of the things I hate doing is
Right.
chopping the podcast, editing it, and I've got AI, it helps, it makes it easier, but you still got to do it. You still got to post it, and I just don't like doing it. So I've got somebody who I'm collaborating with. I'm going to coach her, and she's going to do my podcast. That's amazing.
Right.
So yeah, so yeah, I think it's been me, and recognizing that I am actually pretty good. You
Yeah.
know, I do have some things that I've done really well. So one of the things that I do with all my clients is, and I had to do this for me to start with, is I get them to focus on what's going well, what are they grateful for, and what progress have they made. And they write a list. And we do this every quarter, and we also do this weekly on a smaller scale. So people will do this. Most people have heard of that part, but what most people don't do is the next part, which is, what does it say about you?
Mm.
What's like the trait? What's the positive trait? Because you might have had years and years and years of thinking that you weren't good enough, that you weren't very good at X, Y, Z. You weren't very good at sales, for example. That's a common one. And so you need to go, yeah, do you know what? Yesterday I made a sale. That's the win. What does it say about me? Well, it means that I can make sales and I am good at it.
Mm.
And you need to you need to draw your brain to that, because as an entrepreneur, you're looking at the gap. I don't know if you've heard the book, The Gap and the Gain. You're looking at the gap between where you are now and where you want to be. And when you're in that space of like where you're not, the lack and the things you're not good at, and I'm not where I want to be, that it feels shit. And
Mm.
it does. And when you feel shit, you don't feel very motivated. And when you're not very motivated, you don't do the things you need to do. So
Yeah. Yeah. And let me ask you about, I mean, to come back to the thing about being the CEO, I mean, you've been CEO of two companies. I mean, were there any critical moments that kind of shaped your thinking about building a business?
I feel like there's probably been many critical moments. Um, I would say so. My last business, I stuck my head in the sand, as it related to a few things. Didn't make decisions quick enough,
Mhm.
and so that's taught me. And I also think I maybe held on to staff for longer than I should have, because I
Mm.
was emotionally, involved. So I think I could. So this time around, I'm being a lot leaner. I'm being a lot more aligned. I wasn't as unapologetic in my last business. I was trying to please too many people, and so less. Ironically, less people pleasing means that you're more aligned. Means that you're pleasing the people you are serving better anyway.
Mm.
Um, I think that's been, and then just being leaner. Just don't just employ people for the sake of it right away. Be smarter. Think about collaborations a lot more,
Mm.
because there's loads of people who really need what I do, and I really need what they do, and they are willing to collaborate. They've got a couple of hours free a week. I only need a couple of hours. I can easily coach them, because I love to do it anyway. It's not draining on me. It's energizing.
Mm.
It's
Yeah,
much
I
more
get that.
fun.
I get that. And what would you
Yeah.
say has been your biggest mistake? I mean, you talked about making mistakes earlier on. I mean, what would you say
Mm.
is the biggest one, and what did you learn from it?
I think it is just that kind of, um so this one of the shadows of the king. So the king energy, or part of us, is the one who provides the leadership, and he's assertive and he provides direction. Or if it's a woman and it's the queen, it's exactly the same. The shadow of that is the tyrant. One side is the tyrant, do as I say, not as I do, kind of control, anger. The other side is being too passive and abjugating your responsibilities. And I think I was too passive. I was too weak in my previous one. And it's so I think, again, without initiation, you kind of bounce between the two, of the tyrant and the weakling. And then with initiation, you learn about the power of the king, and you can be more kingly. So not to abjugate, not to avoid the things that I find uncomfortable. Often it's to do with numbers, paying bills or like
Mm.
organizing cash flow and numbers. That's the thing that I will want to abdicate. But I did it this morning. You know, I emailed the people I needed to email. I paid a few bills. It's just like silly things like car tax and the thing on my property. And they're not big things, but it's like, oh, I can't be bothered with that. I don't want to do it. But that's the weak king showing its head again, the shadow.
Mm.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Don't
somebody
have to.
said to me, well, a few people have said to me, being an entrepreneur is partly about getting comfortable being uncomfortable,
Oh, definitely.
if you see what I mean, because it's there all the time, isn't it? There's always something there to
Which is why
torment you.
courage is important.
Yeah,
It's
yeah,
just courage to deal with my numbers.
yeah, facing up to things. Yeah, and let me ask you the flip side of the mistake thing. I mean, what is it that you're most proud of in terms of the new business, for example? I mean, what is it that makes you most proud?
Building a business that is more aligned with who I really am. Because I think so many people never do that.
Mm.
And they get to 60, 65, and they're like, oh, shit, what have I been doing? And by then it's kind of like, it's not too late, but it's quite late.
Mm. Yeah, no, I get that. I can see that. And if you were starting from scratch, was there anything you'd do differently this time around?
Well, I kind of started from scratch a couple of years ago. So um, would I do anything differently? I don't think so. I think I always said that I would get a coach. You know, my last business, when I got a coach, even though it wasn't the right coach, it was a decent coach. That did help me. And I wish I'd have done that at the very start
Right.
because just silly little things like, when you ruminate on a decision
Mm.
and when you clock up how much you've actually ruminated on a decision, it could be days.
Yeah, all
Then you
week.
sit down with a coach for half an hour and you're done.
Yeah,
It's just like the cost of those days of ruminating.
yeah,
Not only did they cost you and like you didn't make the decision, but the opportunity cost of like what
yeah,
you could have been doing instead. So I do. Obviously, I'm biased because I am a coach, but the reason I became a coach because I find it so valuable.
yeah.
See,
And one last question: if you were to offer some advice to a rookie CEO, somebody starting out, what would that advice be?
good question. I would say be open to being wrong and uh, and still trust your gut.
Okay. Good advice, because it's not an easy that's not easy to do, which means it's probably a good thing to do, would be my guess.
Yeah,
So
because if you're open to being wrong, you can hear other opinions, and if you're not open to being wrong, you could end up being a tyrant.
yeah,
But also, you can't completely go around, oh, I'm always wrong.
yeah.
Like, can't be completely weak about it. You've still got to
Those
trust.
those conundrums are often the most important things, I think.
Yeah.
You know,
I think
because
that I
that,
think the two biggest skills that we need to develop as entrepreneurs is the ability to deal with rejection,
mm,
which requires deep work, like because you have to be secure in yourself, and the ability to back yourself. So the ability to deal with rejection and the ability to back yourself. I think those are two like really essential
yeah, and they're
ingredients.
all about what's in here, aren't they? They're all about
Yes,
what's in here.
definitely. Yeah, I think yeah. Do the work. Do
Yeah.
the work.
Ben, thanks for making a bit of time. I mean, a fascinating journey, and I think the initiation kind of concept is actually really relevant at the moment. I mean, for some of the reasons we were just talking about, this idea. I mean, it seems to me that those things are about helping people with transitions and really powerful getting those transitions right through an initiation process or whatever actually seems to me to be a really valuable thing to help people with. So good luck with the business going forward. I mean, I think you've probably got plenty to keep you occupied because there's going to be plenty of people that will be interested in participating, I would have thought. So good luck going forward and thanks for sharing with us. I mean, I really appreciate it. It's a very interesting story.
Thank you for the opportunity, Paul. Appreciate
All
your
right.
time.
Cheers, Ben. Bye bye.
Lots of love. Bye bye.